When the red-robed man began reciting the names from the 100 million flame rankings, the world fell into an eerie silence. Each name that echoed through the air caused a heavenly flame around Xiao to tremble, as though bowing in absolute submission. By the time the final name was spoken, the temperature of heaven and earth had risen to an unbearable degree, and only then did everyone realize that the one standing before them was not merely a supreme, but the king of 10,000 flames. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Continuing from the previous chapter. However, after personally witnessing the might of the Buddha's wrath flame, Lotus Xiao suspended calmly in mid-air, merely shook his head, a trace of disappointment flashing across his eyes. This flame lotus had been formed from the fusion of only 5 heavenly flames. Yet with Xiao current cultivation as a 6-star Do D, even the fusion of 3 heavenly flames would have been sufficient to obliterate the vast majority of the central plains, reducing entire regions to scorched ruins. Back then, such power would have shaken the heavens. But this was the Great Thousand World. Here, when the lotus bloomed, its destructive reach extended no farther than a few thousand miles. The earth trembled, the skies burned, yet the world itself endured. To Xiao that was unacceptable. This level of destruction, he thought quietly, is still far from enough. The difference in the world's laws was now painfully clear, and the realization left him distinctly dissatisfied. His gaze slowly shifted. It swept across the 6 Supreme Realm experts standing opposite him, lingering briefly on the Manor Lord of Heaven Devouring Manor. Then Xiao let out a cold sneer. So he said indifferently, "You intend to compete in numbers." The moment his words fell, the atmosphere froze. Xiao casually flipped his left hand. In an instant, 5 heavenly flames, each completely different in nature and color from those on his right hand, quietly ignited atop his fingers. They burned without sound, yet their presence alone caused the surrounding space to warp. Without hesitation, Xiao brought both hands together. Clap. The 10 heavenly flames collided and then just as suddenly vanished. Before anyone could react, brilliant beams of light burst forth from Xiao body, shooting outward in every direction like falling stars. One figure appeared, then another, and another. In the blink of an eye, 22 figures materialized in the air. They descended in perfect unison, kneeling on one knee, all of them, before Xiao. The moment this scene unfolded, the expressions of the onlookers changed dramatically, because every single one of those figures radiated the unmistakable pressure of the Supreme Realm. And in that instant, everyone finally understood. Xiao had never intended to compete at all. He had come to overwhelm. What's going on? They're all Supremes. The people of Heaven Devouring Manor cried out in shock. Among these figures, even the weakest possessed the aura of a Supreme Realm expert, while the strongest was comparable to a 4th-grade Supreme. These figures were none other than the 22 heavenly flames that had submitted to Xiao. Ever since advancing to Do Di and defeating Hun Tiandi in the Central Plains, Xiao had gone into seclusion. During that period, he spent nearly 10 years elevating the sentience of every heavenly flame to a human level. Moreover, each flame possessed strength comparable to Tuoshe, ancient god in his prime. "Esteemed sir, we acted rashly just now. Please do not take offense." At this moment, the Manor Lord of Heaven Devouring Manor became extremely polite. "I have just arrived in the Great Thousand World. I've just arrived." Before Xiao could finish, he realized he had accidentally revealed something and hurried to correct himself. However, before he could finish speaking, the Manor Lord interrupted him. "What, you are not from the Great Thousand World? Could it be that you're a genius from a lower plane?" the Manor Lord exclaimed in shock. Immediately afterward, his astonishment turned into a smile. All experts of the Great Thousand World knew that anyone capable of breaking through countless obstacles to ascend from a lower plane was undoubtedly a chosen of heaven. Thus, among certain forces in the Great Thousand World, a trend had emerged once a powerhouse from a lower plane was discovered. they would immediately curry favor and attempt to recruit them, pouring all resources into their cultivation. You have just arrived from a lower plane and are unfamiliar with the Great Thousand World. Why not visit Heaven-Devouring Manor? Our gates are always open to you. Xiao sneered. You want to recruit me? At that moment, an aged voice echoed throughout heaven and earth. Ha ha ha. Heaven-Devouring Manor truly has no shame. A terrifying aura spread outward, causing the Manor Lord's expression to grow solemn. Liu Beidao, you arrived quickly. Far too quickly. Ripples appeared in the space behind Liu Tianhuang, and an elderly figure slowly emerged from the void. Great-grandfather, you finally arrived. Liu Tianhuang rushed over joyfully. If I had not sensed the violent fluctuations of a high-level supreme battle and rushed here without delay, the white-robed elder said coldly, you might already be a corpse. His voice was heavy, carrying an oppressive authority that made the surrounding air tremble. Liu Tianhuang lowered his head instinctively, not daring to utter a single word. The white-robed elder let out a cold snort, then slowly turned his gaze toward the Manor Lord of Heaven-Devouring Manor. His eyes were sharp like ancient blades honed by countless battles. Your Heaven-Devouring Manor has truly crossed the line, he said icily. For the sake of a mere top-grade spiritual artifact, you actually dared to plot the death of a descendant of the Sixth Profound Sect. Each word landed with crushing weight, causing the expressions of the surrounding experts to shift subtly. The Manor Lord's eyes narrowed. A cold smile crept onto his face as he replied without the slightest hint of remorse. It was your worthless grandson who stole the treasure of Heaven-Devouring Manor first. We were simply reclaiming what was rightfully ours. As his words fell, his sleeve flicked sharply. With that single motion, the 5 Supreme Realm experts beside him stepped forward in unison. Their hands moved rapidly, forming complex seals as their auras surged. Spiritual power roared. In an instant, a fusion formation took shape, its radiance intertwining as terrifying pressure descended upon the area. The space itself began to distort under the combined might of multiple Supremes. Manor Lord Sect Master, stop at once! An urgent cry rang out from the crowd, tinged with alarm and desperation. The tension in the air tightened like a drawn bowstring, a single spark away from complete detonation. And then, whoosh! A piercing sound tore through the sky. The heavens seemed to split apart as an overwhelming presence descended, instantly suppressing the surging auras. A new figure had arrived, and with that arrival, everyone knew this conflict was no longer something that could be settled lightly. A purple-robed woman appeared in the sky, her strength reaching the level of a 6th-grade Supreme. Heh, Beidao, at your age, you're still this impulsive. Another clear laugh echoed as space twisted. 100 Zhang spatial passage opened, and 2 figures emerged, a black-robed youth comparable to the Divine Soul Realm, and a black-robed elder whose aura nearly reached a 7th-grade Supreme. Western Dao City is a frontier stronghold of the Luo God clan. Do you intend to destroy it and do so in front of outsiders? Another red-robed figure descended from the sky, his aura rivaling Liu Beidao's. Seeing that a fight was no longer possible, the white-robed elder clasped his fists toward Xiao. Friend from the lower plane, thank you for what happened earlier. The Sixth Profound Sect owes you a favor. If you ever need help in the future, as long as it's within our ability, we will do our utmost. Xiao smiled. I do have something I wish to ask later, senior. Looking at Liu Beidao, Xiao felt goodwill toward him. As a former war elder of the Luo God clan, he was likely trustworthy, especially since Luo Tianshen had once helped him before. Thus, Xiao chose to show goodwill toward the Sixth Profound Sect. The people of Heaven-Devouring Manor snorted coldly and vanished into the void. Lower planes truly produce exceptional talents. A 6th-grade Supreme at such an age is extremely rare even in high-level planes. The white-robed elder smiled. The purple-robed woman added, every year tens of thousands ascend from lower planes to the Luo God domain. But someone like you, there may not be more than a few in 100 years. I have just arrived here and am unfamiliar with the Great Thousand World. I hope the seniors will offer guidance. Xiaoyan clasped his fists. There's no need to call us seniors. The great thousand world respects strength. And someone who brings dozens of supremes at once, I've never seen that before. If you were to act, no one here could oppose you. The red-robed man sighed. They are my flame spirits, not humans. Xiaoyan waved his sleeve. The 22 supremes transformed into 22 heavenly flames of different colors, circling obediently around him. The surrounding temperature surged sharply. At this moment, Xiaoyan resembled the king of 10,000 flames. So powerful. They must be ranked on the 100 million flame rankings. The white-robed elder stroked his beard. The red-robed man fixed his gaze on a dark yellow flame, his pupils contracting slightly as recognition dawned upon him. I know this flame. His voice rang clearly through the air, steady, yet unmistakably tinged with astonishment. Green Lotus Core Flame ranked 4673 on the 100 million flame rankings. The moment his words fell, the flame quivered faintly, as though responding to its name. Without pause, his eyes swept across the sea of flames orbiting Xiaoyan. This one, Sea Heart Flame, ranked 400. Another flame pulsed waves of heat rolling outward like a restless tide. Fallen Heart Flame ranked 3888. The surrounding space distorted slightly, unable to endure the growing pressure. 3000 Burning Flame ranked 3451. The atmosphere grew heavier, the temperature climbing with every name spoken. Then his tone subtly changed. Golden Emperor Flame, ranked 763. A ripple of shock spread across the onlookers. Even among high-level planes, a heavenly flame of such rank was rarely seen. Yet the red-robed man was not finished. Purifying Demonic Lotus Flame, ranked 439. At those words, several Supreme Realm experts unconsciously drew sharp breaths. That flame was infamous even within the Great Thousand World. Finally, the red-robed man's gaze settled upon a flame so profound and quiet that it seemed to devour light itself. Void-swallowing flame, ranked 334. Silence. Absolute silence blanketed the battlefield. After a long moment, the red-robed man exhaled softly, a trace of admiration surfacing on his face. Excellent flames, he said, nodding slowly. To possess even one of these would already mark someone as extraordinary. Yet you, his eyes returned to Xiaoyan, filled with undisguised praise. You command so many. As each heavenly flame was identified in turn, the disbelief on Xiaoyan's face deepened. He finally broke the silence, clasping his fists. Senior, he asked, unable to hide his astonishment, what exactly is the 100 million flame rankings? The question lingered in the air, for Xiaoyan sensed that behind that list of names lay an even vaster and more terrifying world than he had imagined. That's all for today's content. See you in the next part. Support me by becoming a member. It will give me more motivation. Thank you so much.